For 10 years, I believed my life was stable, maybe not perfect, but stable enough to make me feel secure. My name is Daniel, and for most of my adult life, my world revolved around my wife, Emma. Emma wasn't just my wife. She was my support system. When we first married, I had nothing except ambition and a dream to build a successful career. Back then, I was working late nights, juggling small projects, constantly worried about paying rent and bills. Emma never complained. She worked extra shifts at her job just to help us survive those early years. She would stay up with me while I worked, bringing coffee and encouraging me when I felt like giving up. "You'll make it someday," she always said with a smile. And somehow, she believed it even more than I did. When we finally bought our small house 5 years into our marriage, Emma cried tears of happiness. To her, it wasn't just a house, it was proof that all those difficult years had meant something. Later, our 2 children were born. Those were the happiest years of my life, though I didn't realize it at the time. Emma devoted herself to the kids and our home. She made sure everything ran smoothly so I could focus on building my career. And slowly, my career began to grow. Promotions came. Money came. Recognition came. Suddenly, I wasn't the struggling man anymore. I had the success I had dreamed about for years. But success changed something inside me. The more successful I became, the less time I spent at home. Work dinners replaced family dinners. Business trips replaced weekends with my kids. Emma would sometimes look at me with quiet concern. "You're working too hard," she'd say gently. "I'm doing this for us," I would reply. At least, that's what I told her. And maybe at the beginning it was true. But over time, something else happened. I started to feel bored. The routine of family life began to feel predictable, safe, quiet, and I began craving something different, something exciting. I didn't know it yet, but that craving would destroy everything. The day I met Sophia seemed completely ordinary. She had just joined our company and was assigned to work in my department. Sophia was different from anyone I had met in a long time. Confident, bold, charming. She had a way of making people feel important when she spoke to them. At first, our conversations were professional. Meetings, emails, project discussions. But soon those conversations became longer, more personal. Sophia would laugh at my jokes. She complimented my ideas. She often told me how impressive my success was. "You've built an amazing career," she said one evening after a meeting. It felt good hearing that. Emma rarely talked about my work anymore. At home, conversations were mostly about the kids, bills, and daily responsibilities. Sophia, however, looked at me like I was someone extraordinary. And I liked that feeling. I started staying at the office later than usual. Sometimes we would grab dinner after work. At first, I told myself it was harmless, just colleagues talking. But deep down, I knew it was becoming something more. One evening, while we were working late together, Sophia said something that changed everything. "You seem lonely, Daniel." I laughed awkwardly. "I'm married," I replied. She smiled knowingly. "That's not what I asked." Her words stayed in my mind long after I went home that night. Emma greeted me warmly when I walked in. The kids ran to hug me. The house smelled like dinner. But instead of feeling comfort, I felt restless. Sophia's voice echoed in my mind. "You seem lonely." Maybe she was right. Maybe something was missing. And instead of fixing my marriage, I chose the easier path, the dangerous path, the path that would ruin everything. The affair didn't happen suddenly. It started slowly. Secret messages, private lunches, late-night conversations. Soon, those moments became something more. Something physical. Something I knew was wrong. Every time I returned home after seeing Sophia, guilt would creep into my thoughts. Emma trusted me completely. She never questioned where I was. She never suspected anything. Sometimes I would watch her helping the kids with homework or preparing dinner, and a wave of shame would hit me. But instead of stopping, I pushed the guilt away. Sophia made everything feel exciting again. With her, life felt unpredictable and thrilling. No responsibilities, no routines, just passion and attention. I convinced myself that I deserved this happiness, that I had worked hard for years and deserved something for myself. But that was just a lie I told myself to justify my betrayal. Eventually, the secret became impossible to hide. Emma began noticing changes. "You're distant lately," she said one night. "Work is stressful," I replied quickly. She looked at me carefully but didn't press further. Emma trusted me, and I used that trust against her. One evening, Sophia said something that forced me to make a choice. "Why are you still with her?" she asked. I hesitated. "She's my wife." Sophia shrugged. "If you truly loved me, you wouldn't go back home every night." Her words forced a decision I had been avoiding. And in a moment of selfishness and confusion, I made the worst decision of my life. I told Emma I wanted a divorce. The look on Emma's face when I told her I was leaving is something I will never forget. It wasn't anger. It wasn't even shock. It was heartbreak. "Is there someone else?" she asked quietly. I couldn't lie anymore. "Yes." Emma's eyes filled with tears, but she didn't scream or argue. She simply nodded. "I see." The divorce process was painful. My children didn't understand why their father suddenly disappeared from their daily lives. Emma remained strong, focusing on protecting them from the chaos I had created. Meanwhile, I moved in with Sophia. At first, everything felt exciting. Freedom, adventure, passion. But slowly the cracks appeared. Sophia didn't want responsibility. She didn't want to deal with my children. She didn't want a quiet domestic life. One night, she said something that shattered my illusions. "I never asked you to leave your family," she said casually. I stared at her in disbelief. "You told me you loved me." She shrugged. I liked the excitement. That was the moment I realized the truth. The relationship I had destroyed my family for was never real. A few months later, Sophia left. Just like that. No drama. No regret. Just gone. After Sophia left, I tried to fix the damage. But some mistakes cannot be undone. Emma had already moved forward with her life. She had rebuilt her world without me. When I tried to apologize, she listened quietly. But the warmth in her eyes was gone. "I forgave you a long time ago," she said calmly. "But forgiveness doesn't mean things can go back to the way they were." My children were polite but distant. The home that once felt warm and alive now felt like a memory from another life. I had chased excitement and temporary admiration, and lost the one person who had truly loved me. Emma had stood by me when I was nothing. But when I became successful, I abandoned her. Now, years later, I often sit alone thinking about the choices I made. The truth is painfully simple. I didn't lose my family because of bad luck. I lost them because of my own decisions, and some consequences last forever. Sometimes, the most valuable things in life are the ones we take for granted. And sometimes, by the time we realize their worth, they are already gone.